For this distribution, let us find the variance and standard deviation. Okay, for every statistical question, I've always told us that we need to write down the formula needed. That will give us a guide on what will be the content of our table. Because you can see in the table we have just class interval and frequency. We need so many other things to be able to determine the variance and the standard deviation. So what is the formula? Solution. Variance, which can be represented with V or S squared, is sigma F bracket X minus X bar squared divided by sigma F. That is variance, where F is frequency, X is the distribution, X bar is the mean. That means that we need to first of all find the mean. So, and we know that the mean is sigma F X over sigma F. That means we need the summation of the product of F and X and the summation of F. So going back to our table, you can see our frequency, which we can simply sum. The summation of F is equal to, if you sum these numbers, you're going to get 20 as the summation of F. But what we have here is class interval. There is no X. How do we get X? X is simply the mid value of the class interval, and you get that by adding the lower class interval and the upper class interval, then divide by 2. That is finding the mean of the lower and upper class interval of each class. So 10 plus 19 divided by 2 will give us 14.5. 20 plus 29 divided by 2 will give us 24.5. 30 plus 39 divided by 2, 34.5. 40 plus 49 divided by 2, 44.5. 50 plus 59 divided by 2, 54.5. Then we are going to multiply the frequency and the X to get Fx. 1 times 14 is 14.5 is 14.5. 3 times 24.5 is 73.5. 10 times 34.5 is 345.0. 2 times 44.5 is 89.0. 4 times 54.5 is 218.0. Then when you sum the Fx, if you sum these numbers, it will give us 740. Since we now know the sum of Fx and the sum of F, we can now calculate our mean. The mean will now be, the sum of Fx is 740, while the sum of F is 20. 740 divided by 20 will give 37. So the mean is 37. So in order to get X minus the mean, we are going to be subtracting the mean from the individual X as we have. So the next bar is X minus X bar. That's the next column. So X minus X bar, 14.5 minus 37, which is the mean. You have minus 22.5. 24.5 minus 37, you have minus 12.5. 34.5 minus 37, you have minus 2.5. 44.5 minus 37, you have 7.5. 54.5 minus 37, you have 17.5. And that is about the X minus X bar. Then we are going to square it. So we have X minus X bar squared. So minus 22.5 squared will give 506.25. 12.5 squared will give 156.25. Minus 2.5 squared will give 6.25. 7.5 squared will give 56.25, while 17.5 squared will give 306.25. Then we are going to then multiply this and the frequency. That means 1 times 506.25, that is F times X minus X bar squared. So 506.25 times 1, you have 506.25. 156.25 times 3 will give us 468.25. 6.25 times 10, will give us 622.50. 56.25 times 2 will give us 112.50, while 306.25 times 4 will give us 1225.00. And that is, we now sum this column. Summation of f times x minus x bar squared will be equal to, if you sum these numbers carefully, you will have 2374.5. So this column is the numerator of the formula for variance, while the sum of f is the denominator. So going back to our formula, we can see now the formula for variance. So we can now say that variance is equal to 2374.5 divided by 20. 2374.5 is this, while 20 is this one. So that is equal to, when you divide that by 20, we'll get 118.725. That is variance. While standard deviation is the S, and the S is the square root of the variance. So S is simply equal to the square root of 118.725. S therefore is equal to 10.896, and that is our variance. And we are done with this. See you in our next class.